Welcome to Jackie's Craft Table. Hello, everyone. I'm back with another card kit from Spellbinders. This is their September card kit of 2019. I was just going to create 5 cards using this kit, but once I got started, I just couldn't stop. They had so many fabulous products included in this kit. This kit is called Express Yourself. Let me show you what's inside. You always get some foam squares and adhesive tape, as well as 10 card bases and 10 envelopes. You get a full pad of patterned paper. I'm going to quickly flip through these for you. They're always just beautiful. And I like that they put them in this little cellophane bag instead of the stickers that you have to cut off. So much easier to get into. But here are the patterns. You get 2 of each in this pad. Some have some pretty gold foiling on them. It coordinates perfectly with the ephemera pieces that they always include. I love this text pattern piece there. The dies for this month are a lot of fun. You can make your own letterboard with these. I've seen a lot of fabulous examples using these dies already. Here's the stamp of the month, and they're all sentiments. They cover almost every occasion, I think, in this set. You also get some beautiful gems with little gold leafing on top, some chipboard stickers, and here is the pack of ephemera. You get 2 of each shape, and I never go through all of these. They give you so many options to choose from. It's just fabulous. I really loved the floral pieces that they included. I think I went through almost all of them. I wish they had included more, actually. There's also gold detailing on many of these pieces. It's just a very eclectic collection this month. There's something for everybody, I think. And some of them have little pop-outs inside of them, like this window. There's little sentiments and stars that you can use. If you're into making collage cards, then this is a great pack for that. And of course, you don't have to just use these for your card crafting. These would be great for scrapbooking. I won't go through each and every one, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what it included. The cardstock this month is very smooth and nice. It's a thinner cardstock. You also get a gold metallic piece, and then some beautiful fall time colors. Usually they have a linen texture to it, but this time they were very nice and smooth. I loved it. So let's get started with this kit. First, I'm going to put all of my ephemera pieces back into the box. This is kind of how I store them when I'm creating these cards, just so I can sort through them easily and not have them scattered all over my desk. My desk can get pretty messy when I'm creating cards with these kits. It's a fun mess, though. So I'm just going to slide all of those into this box and put it next to my craft mat. Oh, and I do turn them right side up just so I can see them better. Now let's get started on card number 1. This card is going to be my first Christmas card of the season. The stamp set included a Happy Holidays sentiment. I'm heat embossing this sentiment onto a piece of the green cardstock, and I'm heat embossing it with white embossing powder. I used my anti-static powder bag first, and now I'm just putting on the embossing ink. And I like to do that a few times just to get it nice and sticky for the white embossing powder. I'm using my heat tool to melt this, and this paper is very thin, so it does warp a lot. To help kind of flatten it out, I ran it through my Sizzix Big Shot die cut machine just between the plates, and that does help a little bit. This adhesive tape helps to flatten it out too onto the card base. It's nice and strong. I'm going to put a little more of the adhesive tape behind this gold metallic paper. I'm putting a stripe of this paper diagonally across my card. And then I'm going to trim off the excess. And then I trimmed that down against what fit onto the green paper. This was a very fast and easy card to put together. I picked out 3 white flowers to adhere to this card. They look like Christmas flowers to me. The center flower I'm going to pop up with some foam squares. This one is smaller than the other 2, and it has a different hue to it, kind of a brownish pinkish tone. And then I can add some of the greenery and gold leaves around it. I got a bit of glue on the gold leaf, so I'm just buffing that clean with a tissue. So there is my first Christmas card of the season. I also used 3 of the green gemstones, and I just love the gold touches on this card. It's very Christmassy. On my next card, I'm adhering a piece of pattern paper onto my card base. This is just a little bit smaller than my card base. I like to see the white of the card base peeking around the edges. I cut down a piece of the maroon cardstock with a wonky stitch die. I used a lot of dot liner on the back of this, and then I pulled out a piece of gold and white twine from my stash. I'm going to sandwich this in between my 2 papers. I'll tie it into a bow after I get my ephemera pieces adhered onto the card. I love these little teacups, and then the books are going to be my focal point, so I am propping that up with some foam tape, just so this piece stands out from the rest. This stack of books is just the cutest. Next, for some greenery and a flower, I want to tuck those behind the books. So I'm just peeling up the foam tape behind those. I chose 2 sentiments from the ephemera pack to put on my card, and I'm going to string them onto the twine. The first one says "so wonderful," and the second one says "bliss." So I'm going to tie my bow and trim off the ends. The first sentiment I'm going to glue down flat onto my card, and the second one I'm going to pop up with a square foam piece. The ends of my bow started fraying, so I'm just putting a little dab of glue, twisting it on the ends. This will just keep them from fraying anymore. And then I always like to secure my bow with a glue dot. I've had this pack of glue dots forever. They just last a long time. And I'm just using my penknife to pop that behind it. I also added a few of the beautiful gemstones on this card. I'm going to use the window ephemera piece on this next card. I've already glued down a piece of gray cardstock onto my card base. And then I just got to pop out the centers of this window. I want it to appear as though it has a little window box at the bottom of this, so I'm arranging my flowers along the bottom. I fuss a little bit with it before I commit to gluing it down. And once I like it, I just try and remember where they were. I don't always succeed. I guess I could take a picture or use some plastic wrap or whatever they use, press and seal. I'm using some liquid glue to glue those down. I love the grays and the pinks. It looks so pretty together. I also use a little sentiment that says love. I put a lot of square foam behind this window, and I wanted it to be lifted up from this piece of gold metallic paper that I'm going to put behind it. This gives it a really cute look of dimension. Makes it look more window-like you can see into it. And then I can glue this piece down onto the front of my card. I think it looks so cute. I'm going to use another piece of ephemera for my sentiment, and I'm just gluing that down flat at the top. It says "celebrate this day," and so this could be used as a birthday card or really an any occasion card. And of course, I have to use more of the beautiful gems. I love these dark bluish purpley ones. They're my favorite. And that's it for this card. Love the metallic gold details. One of the reasons I was so excited for this card kit was for the dies. I've seen examples of this on YouTube, and it makes the cutest letter boxes. The only problem is I really don't like working with teeny tiny dies like this. It's just no fun. But I think it's worth it because these cards do turn out so darling. So I die cut all of my pieces, and I'm putting together my letterboard. I had to use the gold for it because it just looks so pretty. And I'm using more of the tape adhesive behind these pieces. This metallic paper is kind of bendy. It reminds me of a twist tie. You can bend it up and it'll keep its shape. And this wasn't too hard to put together. It's just fussing with all of these little pieces that I think is the difficult part of this. I'm adhering those right onto the maroon paper. Yeah, that looks so pretty. I struggled a bit putting the letters on. First, I pulled out my glue sponge. This is the first time I had used it, and I didn't like getting my fingers in it. So I'm using my jewel picker just to kind of press it into the glue. And then I can always clean off my jewel picker. So that's not a problem. But it's just very time consuming. And I had to fuss with it a lot, as you see. I don't know how often I'm going to be reaching for this set of dies, but they sure are cute. And you can create any sentiment you want with them, so I do like them. Eventually, I get tired of the sponge glue. So I'm going to pour a little bit of my liquid glue onto a piece of plastic paper and glue on the flowers that way. So I die cut all of the flowers, and now I'm just dipping them in the glue and adhering those onto my card. When you're using a lot of small die cuts like I am here, it's nice to have a mini die cut machine like I have on the left side of the screen there. It saved me from having to keep getting up and going over to my large die cut machine to cut all these little pieces out. Just nice and handy on my desk. I was going to add more flowers onto this panel, but I just got tired of all of these little pieces, so I called it good there. I used a piece of pattern paper on my card base, and I'm going to pop up this panel with some foam adhesive. And I'm calling this card done. Looks cute though, but it was a lot of work. I really had fun using this gold metallic paper. Time for another Christmas card. I'm using the small die cuts that came in this set to make a mini wreath. Now this gold metallic paper is really hard to glue together, but it can be done. I'm using a plastic piece of paper here to glue down my wreath. And then once it has dried, I can just peel it off of this plastic paper and adhere it to my card. But I just want to make a small circle with these pieces. Cut them out of green and gold. And it's very tricky to get them to stick together. I'm going to use the door ephemera piece on this piece of gray paper, and then I'm going to trim it out. I just wanted to have a piece of cardstock behind the door. I guess it could be a window too, but in this instance, I'm calling it a door. I'm adhering down some maroon paper onto my card base. And now my wreath is dry, so I'm gently peeling it off the piece of plastic paper. Before I glue down the door, I want to add my sentiment. This is going to say Happy Holidays. I am going to emboss that with more white embossing powder. So the same routine, use your anti-static powder first. Use some embossing ink and then pour over the white embossing powder. I use some foam squares behind this door, and I'm going to glue the wreath down flat onto the door. I'm gluing on some more green leaves just to add fullness to it. This adds a lot to it. And then to let it dry, I'm just going to put an acrylic block on top of it to hold it in place. I thought that it needed another strip of gold paper and some white Nouveau drops around the wreath, kind of like berries. I thought the white brought in the white of the sentiment and the white of the card base peeking around the edges. Of course, I have to use more of the beautiful gemstones, and I'm using the light green ones. And there is my second Christmas card of the season. The gold just makes it that much more festive, I think. Now, moving on to the next card, I'm going to adhere down a piece of the pink cardstock onto my card base. I made this the same size as my card base. Then I'm going to add a gold frame. I cut out the middle of the gold just so I could save it for another card. My next piece of paper on top of this is a really cute piece of pattern paper. Looks like weathered wood. So I'm gluing my flowers down flat. And my focus is going to be this cute little jar ephemera piece. So I'm tucking the flowers behind it, and then I'm going to lift up the jar with some foam tape. So I glued the sentiment onto the jar, and I'm putting some foam tape so it's the same height. And now I can just attach that to the front of my card. I'm also going to use one of the chipboard stickers, this little red arrow, reddish pink. I'm adding more foam tape behind my butterfly because it is an important element to my card. These chipboard stickers are really fun to use on your cards. I'm just going to put these corner pieces on, and then some more of the green gemstones. And that is all there is to this card. There are lots of layers and ephemera pieces on this card, but it was very quick to put together, and I love the result. This card has to be my favorite of the set. The main focus of this card is going to be this envelope I'm creating with this brown paper. I'm stamping the sentiment where you would put the address on your envelope. It's going to say, "Sending thanks for everything you do." And again, I'm embossing this with white embossing powder, so it'll really stand out from this paper. And then I'm being very careful not to warp this paper because, again, it is so thin. It does warp a little bit. I'm using the corner chompers to round the edges of my envelope, just to differentiate it from the sharp edges of my card base. I'm hoping this will make it look a little more like an envelope. And now to adhere everything together, first I'm putting down a layer of gray cardstock, and then a piece of the scripty text patterned paper. This chipboard sticker is an important piece because it is the stamp for my faux envelope. I put some fun foam behind this envelope to pop it up. And then I thought it needed at least one flower. I want that to be the same height as my envelope. So I used a foam square as well as some liquid adhesive to make it level. I'm using some metallic die cuts for the leaves behind my flower. And then, of course, I have to use this cute little envelope chipboard sticker. I'm going to add even more stickers. I couldn't not use this cute pen, this little fountain pen. This cute sticker here says grateful. This will go in the return address spot. And then a cute little paper clip, and of course, some gems. This will be a fun thank you card to send out to someone. On my next card, I'm going to create some diagonal stripes across this blue piece of cardstock using some metallic paper, as well as a piece of this beautiful floral pattern paper. I'm breaking out my dot liner just because I'm getting kind of wary of the adhesive tape. It's great tape, but I have trouble pulling up the release paper with my short nails. This is one of those cards that I don't have a clear direction for. I'm just having fun and adding elements to it. I'm using more of the chipboard stickers, and I cut out more flowers from the little dies from this kit. All I really knew is that I wanted to use this cute frame sticker. So I'm building up my little floral scene inside the frame. And I wasn't sure what sentiment I wanted to use. I knew it had to be something little. So I pulled out this love sentiment stamp and heat embossed that up in the top right corner. I'm going to add a few more flowers just so the frame didn't look so empty. As I said before, these die cuts are really cute, but I'm just not one for playing with teeny tiny dies like this. I'm sure I'm not the only one. What do you guys think? What's your opinion on small dies like this? I keep adding more flowers and leaves to it. I don't want a lot of empty spaces within this frame. And then once everything is glued down, I'm going to add my acrylic block over it just to hold it in place until it dries. I'm using more gems on this card. I have a lot left over, but I sure did use a lot on these cards. They're just gorgeous. The pink gemstones really pull out the color from the pink pattern paper. These gemstones add a really lovely touch. This next card revolves around one of the chipboard stickers. It says, "You are one of a kind." And this one turns out to be more of a masculine card. We can all use more of those in our stashes, I'm sure. And here I am playing with all of the teeny tiny die cuts again. I cut out a circle with the brown paper. I'm gluing these gold leaves off of the side. And then in the very center of this is going to be my chipboard sticker. This chipboard sticker matches really well with this piece of pattern paper that I already die cut with a wonky stitch die. I'm going to put more of the brown paper behind it, so I'm adding it to my white card base. And then I was thinking of putting a pink stripe on it, but I changed my mind. I'm gluing my pattern paper down flat, and then I decide to come in with a piece of the navy blue cardstock. I cut that out using a faux stitch banner die, and I'm going to glue this on right in the center of this banner die cut. And that's practically all there is to this card. I'm going to add a few of the purpley blue gemstones to it. I think it would have looked fine without the gemstones. But again, I couldn't resist. They're just gorgeous. My last card is going to be a very whimsical card. I cut out a piece of the navy blue cardstock with my wonky stitch die, and I'm adding some white pigment ink just around the edges. Kind of looks like a chalkboard card, but a little bit softer because it's a blue instead of a black cardstock that I'm dealing with. This is going to hopefully look like a night sky because the focal point of this card is going to be the chipboard sticker in the shape of a jar with the fireflies inside. I'm adding another piece of brown cardstock onto my card base. And the next layer is my blue panel. Now I can start adhering all of my elements. Here's the cute chipboard sticker. I'm adding some leaves that I cut out with some of the pink pattern paper from this kit. And I'm going to add a little bit of glue behind them just so that they stay in place. This is going to be kind of a whimsical card. I'm gluing down some of the stars, and I die cut a lot of little dots. These were supposed to be flower centers, but I'm hoping they kind of look like little fireflies off in the distance. I'm attaching a few petals to look as though they're falling down from the jar. I'm putting a little bit of glue behind this golden arrow. I ripped it a little bit, and this will hold it tight. My sentiment says, "You make me happy," and I thought that was just a cute sentiment for this card. And then a few of the pink gems to match the pink leaves in my jar. And that's the last of my 10 cards. You'll have a lot of leftover supplies, so you could just keep creating to your heart's content using one of these kits. I hope this video inspired you and you get a chance to sit down and create something awesome today. Thanks for watching, my crafty friends. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.